right, let's get into the main topic. This is something we've been waiting to talk about for a while, and I think it'll help a lot of people, man. And that's parenting in sports, right? Parenting in sports. This is timely for us because one, we're parents now, and before you know it, our kids will be playing. But we interact with a lot of parents with our basketball training and other stuff we do. So, man, I mean, I wish we could have our dad here because
call him.
He can. Yeah, we might have to. He can kind of shed light on like how it works for us. Now, our situation is a little bit different because, we had two older brothers, right? But even with them, right, like he's the one who kind of got them going in the sports.
Let's give him a call real quick.
Yeah.
These are always fun. There's a 80% chance he's on the couch. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Pops? You on the road?
Yeah, Mom and I were driving the van.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Put some miles on it so we can pass the emission.
Gotcha. Okay. We're actually we're recording right now, and you're live. You're live on air, man.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Hey man, that was fire, dog.
But we had a question about parenting in sports. So Marshall, I'll kick it over to Marshall.
Yeah. So Dad, really, what we wanted to get from you is, what was your approach when it came to one, getting us into sports, and then once you got us into sports, what was your mindset when it came to grooming us? Because
clock in.
One of the things that I feel like we all appreciated, you weren't that overbearing, hey, you got to go work out, do all these things. You kind of let us
hey, Mom,
develop a love for it and push ourselves. So again, what made you get us into sports, and what was that like? And then what was your approach after we got into sports to make sure that you were involved but not overly stepping your boundaries, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I appreciate that. Well, several reasons. Number one, you guys showed very special athletic ability at an early age. So I knew that was one of the gifts that God had given you to express yourself athletically. Secondly, raising boys who are energetic and need to go and use their mind. I knew sports would be a good outlet. You all heard me say this before. In fact, on the last podcast that you had me on, I made this statement, and that is, with boys, you have to keep them busy and keep them tired.
Yeah.
Because with boys, now it's girls, but more so back then with boys, you got to keep them occupied. You got to keep them engaged in something where they're using not only their mind but using their body. And so that was very successful. I not only getting you guys involved in sports, but I had the opportunity to coach your older brothers in particular. You guys during the summer leagues when you all were in high school, and that was a great pleasure for me as well. So my attitude really was to focus you guys on getting your homework done, because if you're going to play sports, you had to get your homework done. Because we know when you go to practice, you're going to put forth energy and effort, and when you finish your practice, you're not going to feel like doing your homework.
Right.
So we definitely had a plan to make sure you got your homework done before you went to practice or played games. And you guys really did a great job. You didn't give us much pushback. And for the most part, you guys.
Marshall did though.
No, I didn't give any. I didn't give any pushback.
No, I didn't give me any pushback. Austin, you going back. So you starting something again. But, I just wanted to say that honestly, you know, it was an absolute pleasure raising you guys because you didn't give us any trouble, and you achieved as a result of you guys being focused. I got to give a lot of credit to your older brothers too now, because they exposed us to things like getting you involved in AAU, getting you guys going to basketball camps, stuff like that I wasn't exposed to when I was growing up. So
No,
you guys can attest to this, that Brandon, man, he would wake y'all up.
Yep.
And have you guys go to World Gate.
Yep.
Work out. So that was nothing that I put him up to do. So your brothers get a lot of credit, and then your mom too. She got on board. We enjoyed going to your AAU tournaments all over the DMV and outside of the state. We made that our vacation, and we had a great time.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Dad, that's exactly what we're looking for. I appreciate you answering on the fly, man. I know it was unexpected, but your answer was definitely valuable that I think for the people to hear, and we'll have you back on another day. We can talk a little bit more about it, but we'll let you guys get to it. And as always, we love you and appreciate you.
Well, thank you, guys. And it's not hard for me to talk about my children, so it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on the podcast again.
No problem. All right.
Thanks,
bye, Mom.
Dad.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, Mom.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
But there are others who we're not really putting time in. We're not putting the work in.
Walt the third, man.
We're not clocking in so that we can do what God is calling us to do.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I got is he kind of understood what he knew and what he didn't know. And I think that's a big challenge, man, for a lot of parents. Like, we see it all the time in basketball. The parent who, maybe played freshman or didn't make the high school team, or maybe played high school but didn't make it to that next level. They feel like they have to be the end all be all. They have to be the one that got their kid to that next level. I was listening to an interview that Kobe did, and he was talking about, the same question. How can a lot of parents come to him and they're like, how do I get my kid to work harder? How do I get my kid to work harder? Well, parents, let me ask you this: do you still work out? Do you wake up early? Do you go the extra mile? And it doesn't have to necessarily be just in physical stuff. I know so many athletes whose parents worked blue collar jobs, or maybe worked as a doctor and worked late nights, or a lawyer, and they just saw that work ethic, right? But the reality is the parent was the example. And here's the thing, man. Even if you were like a pro, top college player, your kids never saw you.
Right.
So just because you have past success, it doesn't mean you have credibility with them, right? Like, that's one of the reasons why we still play. It's like, I don't want to say, hey man, back when I was 21, I used to be able to, like, no, I'm gonna show you how to do this move, and I'm gonna show it to you in the game, and you're gonna see why it works, right? So my dad was never the type that felt like he had to get us to work out. Honestly, whenever we played basketball with him, it was like we were having fun. we would go to the court and he'd shoot around with us, but every now and then he'd tell us, work on our left hand. But he let my brothers who had more knowledge about basketball and other folks who had more knowledge about basketball, he sent them to them, and he didn't bother them.
Yeah.
So
Dad played with us until he was 60.
Yeah, pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, he literally played pickup with us. But yeah, like, I watched a press conference with I don't know if he's coaching right now, but Frank Martin used to be the coach at South Carolina, Kansas State, men's basketball, and I forgot what the question was, but he basically said, he told a story about, it's like, this might have been like 9 and under, and parents were getting on referees who were like 14, 15, who are literally only doing this to make like, what, $16 a game.
So they can go to the movies later that night.
Right, like maybe buy a pair of Jordans or something. And they're just like heckling these kids, and it's just like what are we doing as parents? Like, what are we teaching our kids? And, I believe Frank has some kids, and he said, like, look, man, I'm not about to coach y'all, right? Like, you have a coach, listen to your coach, and I'll be here to support you guys, like, as a parent, but I'm not, like, no, that's not my job. Like, you have a parent who volunteered their time to coach you and to teach you the game, right? Like, you ask him about what I need to do to get better or to get more time on the court. And that's the approach I'm going to take, man. Like, people ask me all the time, oh, your kids play basketball. I really don't care. Like, I really don't care if they play or not. Yeah, it would be fun for them to play, and I think there's some lessons and a lot of positive they can get from playing the game, but if they seek, advice and knowledge from me, yeah, I'm going to give it to them. But for me, that's their path, man. They're going to have to figure out what they want to do with the game. And, if they want to get better and develop their own drive and motivation, right? I can be there to support and, give them my 2 cents, but that's just not how I'm going to approach it, man, because I've seen kids get, over pushed and tapped out, and that's not how it should be, man. Like, the game should be fun. You should be learning life. You should be developing relationships, because it's all a bridge, man. You can't play the game forever, right? So, yeah, parents just need to, let their coaches coach them. Let the players go through their own adversities and own journeys in the game, because it'll make them forget better ball players. It'll make them better people. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Man, I'm with you 100%. Here's part of the problem with a lot of these parents, and we talked about this when we explained why we still play the game. And it's a lot of these parents push their passions aside, or they didn't go after something with the intensity level that maybe they should have, and they're trying to relive that through their kid. So here's my point. Like, how many parents who are pushing their kids like crazy, let's say in basketball, like, still hoop?
Very few.
Most of them, they don't hoop. They're not doing anything anymore, right? And as a man,
a lot of them didn't hoop at all.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't hoop at all, but organized at least. And as men, like, we have to be in some type of like competitive, like, battle. Like, if we're not competing, if we're not fighting, if we're not doing something, especially physically, you can see how it affects us. Like, we become sedentary. Like, we're on the couch eating snacks, drinking beer. Like, our motivation towards life isn't the same. Like, we're not the same. So, you don't have to freaking, be an NBA player or anything like that, but like, stay active, man. Like, or find something else that you can
Clock
pursue
in.
yourself, that
Clock
you're pushing
in.
yourself, that's challenging you, preferably outside of your career. That you're putting your energy into that, so that you're not trying to put that energy into your kid, and then now that kid is performing for your approval, not because that's what they want to do, and now their whole confidence is based off of, did my parents think I did a good job? Here's the last thing I'll say on this, man. Regardless of how young they are, like, this has to be their journey. They need to take ownership of it. Now, once they say to me, look, Dad, I'm ready to go, you better believe I'm going to push you.